Police Minister Bheki Cele yesterday visited the community of West Village in Krugersdorp in the West Rand and will today visit the community of Kagiso in the same region. The imbizos have come after the rape of 8 women in the area a week ago. The minister heard from community members how the police in the area are allegedly complicit in the criminal activity there. There's been a vigilante group called the BaSothos who are said to have been terrorising the communities for a very long time. But the question is, what now? Do community members find this imbizo helpful and solution-based, or is it all just lip service? We get some perspective from community youth activist David Serojane about this. David, thank you so much for your time and for joining us this morning on the program. Just a quick question. How would you rate the level of policing that your community receives on a regular basis?
Good morning, Togoza, and good morning to Newzroom Afrika's viewers and the citizens of the West Rand at large. And Togoza, in terms of police visibility in our community, I'll rate it at out of 10 is probably 3, because most of the time, as we've been making calls to the police, we are always told of lack of resource from the police, which simply means they don't have enough capacity of vehicles in order for them to be visible and to attend to all the cases that have been reported and alarming in their society.
Now, David, you were part of the crime imbizo that was led by Police Minister Bheki Cele yesterday. You were quite vocal, very impassioned about some of the concerns raised by community members. Talk to us about those concerns, about the lack of police visibility, about the lack of cooperation that I think has been listed as an issue as well by residents out in the West Rand area.
Yes, because I was part of the imbizo yesterday, and I'll also be part of the imbizo today, also in Kagiso. Part of the key element that I have noted being raised, and it has been raised also in our community meetings about the police, is the reluctantness of them attending to the cases of GBV. Remember that most of the cases that have been reported to police, when maybe a woman will go to the police station and report the case of GBV, they'll simply say, go back home and try to resolve those issues. And remember, it's not always the case that someone will be coming back to report another case, because of, we know the scourge of GBV is also part of the high rate of murders that have been occurring, especially to children and women. And the other case was also the lack of policing and interaction. You see, the station commanders have been not taking the crimes that have been reported as a sign of agency, because the issues of the crime that has been happening, the murders, the rapes in particularly, have not been attended to. There's a number of murder cases that was reported in the area of Soul City and West Village, and trust me, till to date, there have never been any suspect apprehended on those murders, especially on Soul City. There have never been any success case to simply say, hey, we have apprehended so-and-so who is a suspect. And also to intensify their operations against the illegal foreigners who are operating as zamazamas. There have been a number of cases being reported. Community have marched. There's 2 marches which I have also participated in, whereby we were sending a memorandum of demands to the station commander in Kagiso in particular, to simply say, can we please take this matter as a matter of agency, before even the case of the unfortunate case that happened of 8 women. Before it could happen, we marched as a community to simply say, if you don't have enough resource, take this memorandum, send it to the general in the province, send it to the higher structure. And there was a commitment last time by MEC Faith Mazivuko to establish a mobile police station in Soul City. Till to date, that mobile police station has never been set up. It was also, I think, it was also a lip service. If not, it was not a lip service. Maybe a police official that they are sabotaging maybe the MEC, because the commitment was there. And every time when MEC Faith has committed, we've seen the results. But on these cases of the illegal immigrants, especially in the Zamazamas, we don't see any efforts from the police. Hence, the community yesterday also was making a call to simply say, Minister, since your department has failed us in the Westland, we are appealing to you to please bring in SANTF. But the minister committed and simply say they have this, the TRT, the special force that will be deployed. But the time frame was not alluded. And today in Kagiso, we'll be expecting the minister to simply say, as he leaves to go back home where he is residing, he should leave the task team, the TRT, and the special force with us to become part of the citizens in Kagiso and Krugersdorp West Village and all the surrounding areas that have risen on the cases of these Zamazamas, particularly in the Westland.
Right. So your grievances have fallen on deaf ears, and that's the sense that I'm getting, and that's the sense that South Africans across the country got as we watched your community members try to reclaim its surrounding areas and to reclaim some semblance of order and justice. Your government has responded to some of the activities that we saw this week, to some of the violent scenes that we saw this week, have responded by saying that mob justice and vigilantism are simply not the answer. And I want to know what you think about that particular response.
You know, talking and acting, those are two different things. And when they say vigilantes and mob justice, particularly we don't come from those communities. You can see also on the march that we had on Thursday, there was no vigilante, there was no mob justice. But it was actually the community taking the stand to reclaim our streets, ensuring through policing for community policing. It is our responsibility as a community.
But Kagiso, sorry, David, I just have to interject and say that during the Kagiso shutdown, we saw homes believed to be homes of illegal miners, Zamazamas, being razed to the ground. We saw disturbing images and visuals of individuals purported to be illegal miners and Zamazamas being stripped bare and beaten almost to the point of death. And so to say that an element of mob justice wasn't present during the shutdown, during the activities that we saw this week, is simply not true. So let's try and answer that question, that response from government in saying that mob justice, vigilantism is not the answer. As in, as citizens of the West Rand, you cannot take the law into your own hands, as we've seen this past week.
No, there's no element of mob justice that took place. The people, remember, in the law, there's that term used where they say you must use the minimum of force in order for a suspect to give you message. And precisely that is what the community used. It was not mob justice, but it was the minimum of force from the community to simply say on the suspect that were apprehended, they must give us the links of the people they are working for. Because remember, we are chasing the gold, because we are not only fighting this one on the ground. Also, we are chasing the gold of those who are sponsoring and funding them. And also on the point of the community members renting out their properties. Yes, I simply say, as the community also, our citizens are failing us due to greed and loving the money in the compromise of the safety of the community. And we have been addressing it, and we are still addressing it even today, to simply say those who in our community who've rented out their houses to criminals to operate on this syndicate, we are going to come harshly on them, and they don't even belong to become part of our society. Already there's a task team within the society that will be working with the law enforcement in addressing those issues directly, particularly to those who were even giving houses by the government, RDP houses, and they rented them out to the Zamazamas. We are going to ensure that they will also face the full hands of law, because in some of the shacks in Togozo, you will find that it's a normal shack, but the owner knows that within his own property, there's a hole that is being opened, because that house on its own, it has committed a crime. The landlord has committed a crime by operating and creating a shaft that leads to this routes where the Zamazamas have been traveled to on their tunnels. And also, all the the gold that was apprehended on this premises, will also expect SAPS to act harsh. If they don't act, remember, the community, as fed up as we are going to act harshly. And that must not be seen as a form of mob justice, but we are simply reclaiming our street to make it a safe and conducive environment. Remember, those young girls, the 81 and their team, they had come to the West Rand because they saw the beauty of the images for the music video. We don't want people to be afraid to come to the West Rand so that the people can see the economical beauty and the nature of the West Rand and be afraid because of the crimes that happened.
Right.
Hence, as a community of West Rand, we are rising to simply say West Rand is not a place for criminals. West Rand is a place for human beings, and we are welcoming everyone to come here and be safe.
Right. David, so today we know that we have the second installation of the crime imbizo out in Kagiso. You have already mentioned that you are going to be present. I know that during yesterday's session, you highlighted the fact that you don't want these imbizos to be another sort of ticking exercise for the SAPS, another opportunity for them to perform some sort of lip service, another talk shop on this pressing issue. What kind of tangible changes, responses are you looking for in the immediate as a community that will make you feel as though you have been heard and adequately responded to by your government?
Yes, Togozo. We don't want a ticking box or just to be a talk shop of government appearing like they are working. You know, the people who are supposed to be working directly, these are government officials. And part of the exercise that we want to see, one I've already highlighted, we want with immediate effect the deployment of the TRT and Special Force as it was committed by the Minister. We don't want it to take 7 days or what. They are there, ready. I think they are there sleeping, waiting just to be deployed. We want them with immediate effect to start with the operation. And we also stated to the Minister that we know the shaft where these where these criminals are hiding. If possibly they want us to take them there, because also part of our operations, we went even underneath their shaft. We'll take them there. Secondly, we are traumatized as a society. Based on the crime that happened, the confession that came, we are traumatized. We need DSD to bring all social workers to start with immediate effect, intervening to the people that were affected. We don't want it to wait also. By today, we want to see one-on-one sessions of social workers coming to have sessions with the community, so because psychologically we are affected. The third part, the commitment that we want, is a call for the Department of Minerals and also the mining houses to come. Because remember, part of the highlighted area that also the Minister noted yesterday is the high rate of unemployment that is facing young people. And our call as young people here in the West End is precisely clear. We are calling for economic freedom in our lifetime. These mines cannot all operate as business as usual, whereas they are not even employing young people and the citizens of this regime. That is also part of the problems whereby these criminals hijack these mines, because there's no involvement of community members involved in the operations. In Lancaster, we want to see young people in the Western, in all the mining spaces. And the Department of Mineral and Resources must actually come down. Minister Gwede must come and close down all the shafts where they are not operating legal until the mines comes and account for their rehabilitation responsibility.
Okay. David, thank you so much for your time and for coming on to this morning's program. That was community youth activist David Serojane.